Ukraine's president is making a direct appeal to the people of Russia. He said in a video address, Volodymyr Zelensky is calling on Russian citizens to protest against war following the emergence of gruesome videos and photos of bodies from the Kyiv suburb of Bucha. Zelensky addressed Russians in their native language, saying now was a crucial moment and urged those who disagree with the conflict to demand it ends. Ukraine is urging residents of its industrial heartland to leave while they still can after Russian forces withdrew from the outskirts of Kyiv to regroup for an offensive in the east. Ukraine's deputy prime minister says Russian forces have agreed on 10 humanitarian corridors for the evacuation of civilians in 3 eastern regions today. She says civilians from the Donetsk, Luhansk, and Zaporizhzhia regions will be able to evacuate.
And for more on the humanitarian response inside Ukraine, we're joined live now by Brianna Piazza, an emergency communications specialist with World Vision. And she joins us live now from Chernovitsky, Ukraine. Bianca, thank you so much for joining us. I believe you are near the border to Romania, but can you tell us about some of what you're seeing on the ground where you are right now?
Sure. Well, as you can probably see behind me, I mean, life sort of feels pretty normal to an extent here at the moment. People are going about their daily lives, but this is an area that has been hearing air sirens going off. People are still living in fear. This is somewhere where many people have actually fled to just escape some of the horrific violence that we've been seeing in other parts of the country. So we hear a lot about 4 million refugees having crossed the border into Europe. But right now, inside Ukraine, there's actually 7 million people who are displaced. So speaking with people in dormitories, in places where they're seeking shelter at the moment, people are telling me overwhelmingly that they just want this war to end. They want to go home. Many of them already know that their homes are no longer standing, unfortunately.
Can we talk about the humanitarian efforts about getting supply in the area and the demand for it? How challenging has it been so far?
Sure. Well, even hospitals who we've been speaking to, they have just been crying out for supplies. They need food, they need water, they need hygiene kits, all sorts of items that they desperately need. Now, thankfully, World Vision and other organisations have been working around the clock trying to get supplies into the areas that need it most to help support this displaced population. But unfortunately, we know that there's still so much more work to do, which is only possible with the support of people around the world. So definitely, whenever there's violence and conflict, getting in and out of these places, it's quite dangerous, and everyone has to be very careful how they go about that.
Yeah, absolutely, Bianca. And we've seen how Russian forces are just destroying even more as they leave. Reports that they're targeting civilians trying to just leave the places where they are, where there's pretty much no water, no electricity, nothing left. Now, I'm sure the job World Vision has there is equal parts satisfying, heartbreaking, and exhausting in every imaginable way. But can you tell us about those people that you're helping? What kind of stories are sticking out to you, Bianca?
So what people are telling me is that, you know, they've had to flee for their lives, often with just the clothes off their backs. It's tragic, it's heartbreaking, it's something that my colleagues and I, we really feel for people who are going through this, and they don't know what the future holds. I think a lot of people are trying to be really positive. They're trying to put on a brave face in front of their children, but ultimately people are aware that their homes have been destroyed. Many of them have left husbands and sons behind, and they don't even know if they're still alive, and they're just trying to keep in touch with them every day. So I think definitely from what I've seen and many of the displaced people who I've spoken to, they really are stories of just families being separated and torn apart by a conflict that nobody knows when it's going to end.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine the vulnerable population, such as the women in shelters or the children in orphanages, and what their situation is right now. Okay, Brianna Piazza, emergency specialist, communications with World Vision. We really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.